Earlier this summer, I was doing a series of Q&As about being a creator, what it was like to be a YouTube creator full-time. That's what I do, me and Matt. And so I was answering your questions. And wonderful, great questions. I will link to that series of videos, but the summer got so busy with the gardening and all the stuff going on that I kind of dropped off and didn't answer some of the ones that are still left. So today I'm gonna start that back up and try to finish those rest of the questions that people submitted. I thank all of you who submitted questions, and again, I'll link to those previous ones so that you can go back and watch them. I know I'm really curious about other creators, so I can understand the questions that people have, and I'm always happy to answer them. So the very first one was that I'm going to share today was a really great question. It was, is there any interesting stats when it comes to your YouTube channel? Of course, YouTube keeps statistics, and there's things you can dig in and look about. You might have seen other creators doing videos about how to know if a video will do well by your audience, maybe, or by the subject matter, all those kind of things. So it is really interesting to dig into those and look at them. I'll be honest with you, I don't really do that. I should probably, but I just do what I feel led to do, and those are the videos that me and Matt, that we feel like we should do, and those are the ones that we share. And most all the videos, of course, you know this, are, other than maybe one like this, but even this one technically is about our lives, is our daily lives. But I did have some interest, and so I thought, well, since they asked, I'm going to go look. Now, this one kind of surprised me. The first thing was that, in one way not, but just because of the Blind Pig and the Acorn, I'm a blogger, and I've been a blogger since 2008, and I have more men that read the blog when I dig into those statistics, those analytics, than women. But on this, I have more women, so 66, these are just, I didn't get the decimal in there, so about 66 women watch the videos and about 33% male. It's interesting to break down by age. This one was not surprising because of the things I talk about. The majority of the people who watch my videos, 48%, about 48%, are 65 or over. 55 to 64 years of age makes up about 27%. 45 to 54 makes up about 12%. 35 to 44 makes up about 6%. 25 to 34 makes up about 4%. 18 to 24 makes up about 1%. So you can see as you go down in age, there's very few people watching our videos, which makes sense because of the things that we talk about. And what I do think is really interesting, I took a screenshot so I could put it on my phone here, was the location of those people. So, of course, makes sense. The majority of the people that watch my videos are from the United States. Second is Canada. Third is United Kingdom, Australia, then India, then Germany, and New Zealand, Ireland, Japan, and then, well, let's see, let me keep going. These are just in order. South Africa, Philippines, Netherlands, Indonesia, Sweden, France, Norway, Mexico, Brazil, Spain, Trinidad, and then Bangladesh, Barbados, Poland, Denmark, Vietnam, and then let me look at the next one. Now these, as I'm reading those out, though, it's less and less and less. So let's see, Malaysia, it's like, it's not even counting a percent. There's so few people. So I'm at that stage. So these are like, 35, 36 people, something like that. I think it goes all the way down to 10 people. But in these last ones, so not even enough for YouTube to count it as a percentage. Switzerland, Hong Kong, Puerto Rico, Bahamas, Pakistan, Singapore, Thailand, Turkey, Portugal, Costa Rica, Albania, Croatia, Slovenia, some of these are hard for me to say with my accent there, Kuwait, Italy, Jamaica, Panama, Romania, Saudi Arabia, and Austria. So that is fascinating to me. Again, those are very, very few people. Like for Saudi Arabia, it says 11 people. So 11 views in the last 28 days, 11 views. Now maybe that's the same person. Maybe it's just one person. Maybe someone wanting to know about Appalachia, somebody that's homesick for the area or something like that. But 11 views, those stats were that I was looking at was for the last 28 days, So I do think that's fascinating and humbling. Makes sense again that the majority of people watching our videos would be from the United States, and then even makes sense that Canada would be next, and then the United Kingdom, and then as it went down through there. But still, just very humbling to me that people all over the world are watching our videos. And I hope, because it's my endeavor to celebrate Appalachia, that they're seeing Appalachia in a positive way, and maybe they wouldn't have seen that before. I've had people tell me that. So great question on that. Thank you so much. The next one was have you ever left the video running but edited out what we didn't want to share just yet? So if you do watch all our videos, you'll know at the end sometimes, and I kind of just accidentally did it the first time, but then liked it and thought that I would leave it in there, and then people liked it, so I kept doing it. Sometimes, especially the ones where Matt and I are working outside, sometimes where we're in the kitchen or something, I just leave, like I say my little tagline of thank you for stopping by to help me celebrate Appalachia, or I'm always pleased or happy when you stop by to help me celebrate Appalachia. And then we kind of just, well, what are you going to do now? I'm going to do this. We just kind of talk like we would if the camera wasn't there. And so then the question is, have we ever edited something out? Of course we have. Maybe we're saying something private about somebody that wouldn't want to be on YouTube, somebody in our family, or, maybe talking about, I can't think of a good example, but you know what I mean. Maybe there's just something, that we wouldn't want to share. Maybe we're talking about, what I need to go to the bank, or did you pay that bill, or can you believe they charged that? Something like that we wouldn't want people to feel bad about. The people that we were talking about, if it was or sharing something, not that it was bad, but just it was private. Other people are not willing to put their lives on YouTube like we are. So certainly we have edited out things like that. The next one was about my books that I read. Is it difficult to get permission to read aloud the books? Where do you find the rules and parameters? Well, one thing is that I'm reading books that are very old. Most of them are very old. So copyright laws work the way they work, that after so many years things become public domain. So that's one thing to check into. Think about the old books. But also, like the one, Watermelon Hill, if you watch all of my videos, you remember that wonderful, wonderful story based on wonderful man's life, just beautiful written story. Him and his family sent me the book. And so then I could ask them, hey, could I share this? Could I read it? And they wanted me to. And of course I pointed people to where they could go buy the book. So that's another way to go at it. I would never read like a bestseller or something like that, because I know that wouldn't be legal. I wouldn't do that. Like a current modern day is what I'm saying. And the way that helps you with that, though, is YouTube itself. They have bots, if you've ever heard about the bots, that check all of your stuff for copyrighted material. Now, I've never got like a copyright strike or anything like that, but what I do get often is the music that we share. So I might share a song in one of my videos that we're playing, making music, as we would say, or maybe it's just Paul, or maybe it's just the girls, and I'll get a notice from YouTube that says this song is copyrighted. You can still share it, but you're going to share, if you leave it in your video, you will share any revenue that you earn from it. You'll have to share with whoever owns the copyright. So YouTube is really good about noticing stuff like that and showing you. And they would even show you, like if it was a song that, for whatever reason, whoever had copyrighted it, did not allow anyone to do their song but them, then YouTube would also tell you that and say, and if you share this, you're going to get a copyright strike, which means, like a YouTube smacking you on the hand. And if you get 3 of those, you could lose your channel. So they are really good about searching and trying to find anything that's copyrighted to where you wouldn't be able to use it, and will alert you of that. Certainly, like I said, in my case, that's happened over and over. And most of the time for those songs, I just say, okay, I'm happy to share I want to share the music of my family, so I'm happy to share the revenue with whoever owns the copyright. Have we ever had fans come to our house, just show up? No, we've never had that happen. Now, certainly, I'm out in public somewhere. I've had people come up to me and say, hey, I watch your YouTube channel or something, and that's wonderful. Please always do that. If you see us out and about somewhere, if it's me or Corey and Katie or Matt or whoever it is, we love to talk to people. So please come and talk to us. What project have we done and filmed around the house that is my favorite? Well, we've been on YouTube now for a few years, so I have to really think back to all the things we've done. But the 2 that come immediately to mind right now, I might change it to something else later if I thought about it more. but would be two things. One, we just did this past year, was putting gravel in the greenhouse. It only took us 15 years or something to do that. Really, we've had the greenhouse a long time, but it just made it so much nicer. And it was so nice this summer to not have to weed eat or mow in there. It was fantastic. Matt appreciated that. And then it's just made it so much nicer. I think it made it warmer when we were starting our stuff early in the spring. I think it kept the warmth better in it. So that's definitely one of my favorites. And then a couple of years ago, we replaced the windows that were original to our house. And that's probably the other thing, because again, that just, it was a really fun video to make. I could find it and link back to it, because at the end of it, a storm comes up real fast. But it's really made a tremendous difference, which we knew it would. We were just never at a position where we could replace them. And when me and Matt first built the house, we were so broke that and didn't know better. We got the cheapest windows you could find, and what quickly happened was they went bad. They would freeze in the winter and sweat in the summer, and they were just terrible, Anyway, but we knew that this would happen, and then now 2 years later, of what it is, I can say for sure it did happen, is that our house was warmer, the windows were nicer, they don't freeze up, you can open them and shut them easy, they don't sweat, none of that kind of stuff. So those are my two favorite ones. And then the other part of that question was, is there a project I'm looking forward to? I guess right now is that we're starting to plan or get prepared to build these beautiful leaves falling around me, to build the barn. Now, and we're going to build that barn. Again, we should have built it years and years ago. We've lived here almost 30 years. Not really going to be a barn though, more of a shed. But we need to put Matt's tractor under it. Matt's tractor right now fits in Granny's garage, so that's good. There's nothing, Granny doesn't have a car, there's nothing in her garage. But then we could also get stuff out of the basement. We could put the four-wheeler under it that's in the basement. We could put the lawnmowers out there that's in the basement. And then, of course, it would be nice to have a place to put our firewood under, to stack our wood. We've never had that. And we've always kept warm and managed, but it'd be nice to have a place to really stack it up nicely. So I guess that's what I'm most excited about, and I pray, or I hope, that we can get that done before next spring. That will be even though it's took us all these years, that we will have that one completed. Do we ever take vacations or breaks from YouTube? We are not typically the people that take vacations very much. When I was growing up with Granny and Pap, we never took vacations. We just couldn't afford to do that. And part of it, I guess, too, was that Pap he was like I am now, satisfied and pleased to be at home, but mostly we just couldn't afford it. So if we went somewhere, we went to visit family, went to visit his family, all the way 2 hours away to Canton, or we went to visit some of Granny's family, and we didn't do that very often, though. Either one of those, even the 2 hours away, we didn't do very often. So Matt and I have kind of been the same way, and we never had much money. When we were first starting out, Matt didn't get much time off from work, thinking about jobs and stuff, and he loves to hunt. He loves to deer hunt, so he didn't care nothing about going on a vacation when he could have saved his stuff for hunting. And I wasn't as attached, he would have dropped everything and went with me if it was that important to me, but it just wasn't. So we never really went on vacations. Now, when the girls were in high school, they asked us, they said they'd been to the beach on a class trip, but they wanted to go to the beach as a family. That's what they wanted for their graduation present. So we did that and stayed at Myrtle Beach, and it was very expensive, but we did it and found the money and did it. And then not too long after that, I had a good friend that had a place at Garden City, and he started offering to let us go there. Well, then, of course, you have the cost of your gas and your, groceries and you go out to eat and that kind of stuff, but there was no expense of staying there. It was totally free. So we did that. Again, Matt he's not crazy about the beach, and people do their marriages. Me and Matt's got a couple of videos about marriages different, but for me, I learned early on, I'm a pragmatist, I guess. I realized that if Matt didn't want to do something and I made him go, it ruined my time. I'd just as soon him not go, and then I could just have a good time, if that makes sense. And he looked at it the same way. If it was something I didn't care about, like going to the races, like racetracks and stuff, it's not that I hate it or anything. It's just not my cup of tea. I'd rather be at home with a good book. So he he quit asking me to go because he knew I wasn't going to enjoy it. And if I went and just sat there like, oh, when can we go home now? You know, I would ruin it for him, and he really loved it. Same way about the beach, you know. And that he only had that little small amount of time that he got off from work too. So anyway, we would do that. We started doing that, me and the girls. We would go and spend a week. We like to spend a whole week, and we just lay on the beach every day, every day. But then, not last year, but the year before, Miss Cindy, you know, Matt's mother, she was sick, and then she died, so we didn't go to the beach, didn't go anywhere on vacation. And then this past year, of course, we had babies. Corey had Woodrow in June, and not going to take a newborn, so we didn't go nowhere this year. So we're not people that typically go on big vacations. I have one of my good friends, and we tease her about how many vacations she goes on a year, but she just loves to travel. She loves to. She goes to different places in the United States. She'll go out of the United States, and she just adores it. It's just what she loves to do. She goes on, you know, with her husband and other friends, with her daughter and her family. Then she'll just go with girlfriends, and she's just constant. We're like, where are you going now? Where are you going now? You know, just teasing her, but she just absolutely loves it. And I guess for us, we mostly we're homebodies. We just kind of love to be at home. Although I do hope I get to go to the beach next year. Hope the boys are big enough that we can take them with them. And as far as the second part of that, I went into that big, long, drawn-out thing. Sorry about that. But do we ever take breaks from YouTube? I've not really ever took a break. Now, while Miss Cindy was sick, I didn't get to post as much. And certainly, you know, the week she died. The first time we had COVID was at Christmas, but luckily I had some videos, so I didn't have to skip too much. I had some stuff I could just edit, and I didn't feel good enough to film anything. We were not real sick or anything, but just, you know, you feel bad, you got a cold. But we've not really missed much, took many breaks, and you know, that may sound like, well, you should, you need to. And if I did, I sure would. I would do that. But for us, the things that we're filming, they're just our everyday life. So even if I didn't film it, I would still be working in the garden. I would still be cooking a good supper for my family. I would still be preserving food. So it's as strange as that sounds, and I do think YouTube is work. It's a full-time job. You're definitely working. There's no, you know, it's not an easy thing to do, to accomplish, to be a creator. But still, there's something about being able to do my daily task and then also video it and share it that makes it easier. So we've not really took any breaks, but maybe we will someday. I know a lot of people will do that. They'll say, I'm going to take a month off. I'll see you when I get back. And maybe someday we would do that, but we've not yet. Do we save our tomato seeds, and how to save them, and how many do you plant in each cup, each little, like if you use a little cup like we do? We save some of the tomato seeds. We grow heirloom tomatoes, and this can happen with any tomatoes though, but we have such a small area of growing them that often what would happen if we saved all of them is that they're going to cross-pollinate with something else. Now you might get exactly what you thought you was going to, like if I was saving a Cherokee Purple or something. But then sometimes they might mix with something else nearby, and you might get a different sort of looking tomato. Now it would be edible, it would be fine, it just wouldn't be what you wanted. So we found that tomatoes, they're easier to save the seeds from them, even though growing them right up near each other, it seems like they stay true more. There's still a possibility that they would change. But so sometimes I do save them. I especially this year saved the ones from the Randy Hooper tomato, and I'm hoping that it would be true to what it was. But again, it was growing right beside other ones, so I'm not sure. So if you're gonna, like if you were gonna do that and actually sell the seeds, you know, if you wanted to say this is certified organic or whatever, and this is certified it's Cherokee Purple, I think it's like up to a mile or something, or 2 miles away that you have to plant those. You can Google that and find that out, but it's a big distance that you have to plant them away from other tomatoes. So I do save them, but sometimes they don't always end up being what I want them to be. was my name a family name, Tipper? It was not. I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. Tipper is not my given name. My given name is Mary Jane. I have one of those double names. But when I was learning how to walk, just a little girl, my brother Steve is 5 years older than me, so he was, you know, a bigger kid then, and he was wanting to take care of me. I was his little baby sister, and I was learning how to walk, and I had some sort of walker. Granny says it's kind of different than the ones you see today. It was different anyway, but she said I could just fly around the house. But when I was learning how to maneuver around it, he was afraid that I would tip over. He was afraid I was going to fall. And instead of just saying she's going to fall, he said she's going to tip over. She's going to tip over, Mama, she's going to tip over. And anyway, that turned into Tipper, and that just took over my real name. Daddy and Mama, Granny and Pap, they called me Tipper. The only place I was really, and my family did, the only place I was really Mary Jane was at school and at church maybe, but mostly at school, where I was just too embarrassed to raise my hand and say I was backward to say, would you please call me Tipper? Now certainly some of my close friends, they knew that that's what I was called, but then after I was out of school, you know, and got to be an adult, I realized, well, I really am Tipper. I'm not really Mary Jane, you know. So it was easier then, and I was more adult, and it was easier for me to say, that's my given name, but I go by Tipper. So that's how it come about, and I really don't remember not being Tipper since I was so little, you know, so little when Steve changed my name. It is funny, of course, I've had people over the years saying, when I worked at different places, they would say, that's an unusual name, and are you named after Tipper Gore? And I would say no, and I would explain the reason behind my name. But I've had a lot of people tell me, and I've known a few dogs that were named Tipper, people's dogs. And the little boy that I kept, he's a grown man now, but I kept him from when he was 2 weeks old till he went to school. Me and his mother are very, very close, always have been. He at some point, I don't remember how old he was, like 3 or something, maybe. They got a dog, and so I'd go pick him up. So I went that morning to get him, and I was like, "Oh, you got," you know. He was showing me off his dog that they'd got, and I said, "Well, what's its name?" And they said, "Well, we don't know. We're thinking about calling it Barbecue, but then Alex wants to call it Tipper," and I was like, "Oh, I think I'd call it Barbecue if I was you." And as soon as I said that, he said, "Its name is Tipper." So that was one of the dogs I knew was named after me, Tipper. Do videos get more traffic at different times of the year, like gardening in summer? That's certainly true, like thinking about Christmas. Like if you want to put out a Christmas video, of course it's going to get more views at Christmas than it would during the middle of the summer. During the summer, lots of people, maybe not your regular viewers, but they are looking for gardening videos. How do I plant this? How do you harvest this? How do you fight the squash bugs? Those kind of things. So that's true for sure. And it is also kind of true for YouTubers, I think. Most YouTubers are like me, that they would agree that there's times of the year that are better. It seems like January and February are kind of low view months for many reasons, I guess. Just like other things, other retail kind of things, they kind of go up and down with different times of the year. So yes, I would say that's true, that at different times of the year, certain videos will do better than they would if you did them, you know, it's the opposite time of the year on the other side of the thinking about the calendar. Was I always in the kitchen learning from Granny, or did I learn to cook after I was married? I learned from Granny, and it wasn't so much that I just stayed right with her and learned everything she learned, but what happened was I was really interested in cooking just from a very early age. And Granny was so good to me. She would just let me, she didn't care how big of a mess I made, what I did, if what I made turned out a flop. She just let me go. She just let me go in the kitchen and pull down the stuff and I'd get her cookbooks out and I'd look for something that we'd never had before and I'd try to make it. And she just encouraged me to do it, you know, to let me do it all. And like I said, sometimes it was really good and sometimes it was a total flop, but she just let me do it. So I already had I guess I learned by trial and error. And then by the time me and Matt was married, or before we were married, before I met Matt, I worked for a little while. I worked a third shift job at a local plant. So I was at home during the day by myself. Then about the time I'd go to work, Granny and Pap would get home from their jobs. Granny was working at the dress factory then. So I would cook supper so that I could take it with me to work, so that could be my, my meal that I would take with me, and then leave it for them to eat. So I was a cook, but I would say that I become a better cook after I was married, and I was doing it every day for myself and for Matt, and of course then eventually for Corey and Katie when they got big enough to eat. So I think all those years of cooking really helps. Just like anything else, practice really makes you a better whatever it is you're doing. So I definitely got to be a better cook after I was married, and willing to try other things maybe than I love the tried and true that Granny raised me on, but then able to branch out and try different things. So that's a good question. I like that. Thank you. And I'll end on this one. Are the warm comments helpful to me? So someone, 2 or 3 people have said this. I can't remember exactly, of course, who asked this question, but it's kind of like they notice in the comments they're mostly all real positive and nice and, really kind and generous to me and Matt. And is that helpful? Would it be more helpful if it was like constructive criticism or something? So there are those kind of comments too. One of these we talked about mean comments. Constructive criticism is not mean, but we talked about all this. You could go back through and find that one. But are those, just focusing on those really happy, upbeat ones, are those helpful? I say they're helpful because they are encouragement. It's just like a daily dose of encouragement to continue to do what we do. And, it'd be really depressing if no one ever said, hey, I really like that, and I'm glad, and your videos make me, my favorite compliment is you remind me of my mother or my grandmother or my aunt. Those are my favorite comments. I love those. I love to be thought of as someone's grandmother, their mother, or their aunt. What a compliment. So all those kind of really nice ones that are bragging on us, if you will, they're encouragement for me, for all of us, just to continue to do what we're doing, that you're enjoying it. So then that's rewarding, it's like a rewarding thing to know that you're enjoying what we do, because we certainly enjoy it. And we enjoy communicating in the comments and all the ones we've got to meet. We just had a cookbook signing last week. It was wonderful to meet everybody there. So we really, really enjoy I feel like we're a big community, and I really love that. And so, yes, those encouraging comments are definitely helpful because they give us encouragement to continue to do what we're doing. I appreciate everybody that's answered or that's sent in all the questions for me to answer thus far. I have a few more, so I'll do another video like this in a few weeks or something like that. If you have more, you can leave them in the comments of this video, and if I've already answered it in another video, I'll tell you to go back and look. I've answered it in one of those previous Q&As. But I'm always glad when you stop by to help me celebrate Appalachia, even when I'm just talking about being a creator.